So this is week 1 of the conference call. I guess if there are already questions, maybe we'll take those questions first and then try to push through the agenda. So if you have questions,
really
go ahead.
Just of what we're going to cover, because I didn't send out an agenda, so just so kind of what we're going to be covering.
Okay. Go ahead.
So we're going to be talking about getting your chassis moving, what you need to be doing there. We're going to be talking about strategy tonight, process for prototyping, assign mentors to tasks, your team down into sections, and ordering team uniforms. They're kind of our general things that we want to go through. I don't want to kind of start on the agenda first and then do questions as applicable as they come. If there's any like general, non-specific questions. And we're going to updates from the Q&A too. So, anybody questions, I guess, besides on any of those topics?
Watching some of the 3-day builds on YouTube, and I noticed people are using all kinds of odd things for rope. That's legal. You don't have to use a 1-inch rope. People are using pull straps that are sewing to and things like that. That's going to be allowed.
You got to look at the rules section. I don't know what it is off the top of my head.
The rule just says the rope is a 1-inch manila rope and that you can bring your own.
Yeah, the bring your own aspect, there's actually a definition of what rope is considered. They define rope as something braided, blah, 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 blah. So there's a paragraph.
Rope is a strong string composed of twisted or braided strands of manila, hemp, flax, or light. You don't care what it's made out of?
Yep, as long as it fits that definition. So you use chain, you can't use cable.
Oh, I can't use a metal cable or a chain.
Yeah. Anything that fits that description, you can bring. It could be an 1/8-inch piece of rope. It could be a 2-inch. It could be a 1-inch. It could be any diameter, any type of brick, any pencil length, all that type of stuff, just as long as it fits that definition. That's what states the rules of what is considered rope and what is not considered rope.
Okay.
Rule I-04. There's four characteristics of the rope. The ropes have to be inspected. Teammate or rope they intend to use for a match for inspection. The rope must meet the following criteria: have a minimum width of 1 inch nominal, exclusive any knot widths, being designed and configured to be at least 5 foot 3 inches long, end to end, must be designed and /configured not to exceed the length of 8 feet, measured end to end, and it's entirely of flexible, non-metallic fibers, twisted, woven, or braided together, except for the last 4 inches of the end, which may be whipped, fused, covered in heat shrink or tape, or dipped in a coat material to prevent fraying. It's Rule I-04. It's page 100 of the game manual.
100. Well, they cover them later. I didn't realize. Okay.
I guess there's more. So it's to be configured such as engages securely with the field. If not, the top knot must be 29 inches below the retaining knot feature. If knotted or looped, the total diameter does not exceed 10 inches. So your rope knots can't.
Show strap being used. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that answers my question then. Cool. All right. Thanks.
No problem.
Yep.
I never made it to page 100, I guess. I got about to 80.
Questions, burning questions, or we'll get back to the
All right. Well, if you have questions as we're going along, please feel free to chime in. What we'll do is we'll kind of entertain applicable questions to what we're talking about at the time. Then if you have questions toward the end about things that we didn't cover, we'll go ahead and put those at the end of the call And then each week, at the end of our notes, will be the questions that were on the call with the answers to them. So you just have to keep scrolling down. As you guys will notice, each week that we start doing this, the notes will be longer and longer because we're discussing more things and we get into more details. All right. So, goal for you guys. By this time next week, you should have chassis running. If you did not go to a quick build and you have not started building your chassis, you need to do so. But before you start making any modifications to your robot, you guys need to realize that your chassis out of the box is not legal. Before you start doing anything to cut or add or do anything, read the rules. Clint, you want to talk about the volume constraints this year?
Yeah, Ken. So you guys rookies, so it's like I said, it's up to you anyways. But when the volume, there's two categories for volume A and volume B. Volume A, I don't, you did off the top of your head, Jason. I'm not saying put on the manual, so I just want to misquote.
Yeah, I'm way up to that section right now. Give me a minute.
He gets it here in a minute. So what that means is any given time in the match, you can exceed that volume, meaning your chassis, your bumpers, your robot extensions or anything like that cannot exceed that volume. It is allowed if you have, say, something that pokes out the front and pokes out the back that would be outside of that volume. It is legal to say, hey, we have software that doesn't let it happen at the same time, meaning either the front will be out or the back will be out. At two times, as long as you stay in that volume, you're okay. If both extend, you would get a penalty, right? So just to describe this volume, your robot doesn't have to stay in that volume, not extend over your bumpers. You're allowed to do that. When you're making this measurement, make sure you include your bumpers as well. You can't have your frame go out to the volume and then strap bumpers on the side of it because you'd be considered illegal. And through inspection, they won't let you pass until you rectify the issue.
Volumes, Quint. So the A size or the wide bot, we'll call it, is 36 by 40 by 24 inches tall. And the tall bot is 30 inches by 30 inches by 32 inches by 36 inches tall. And
that's
G4. It's 7.2 robot restrictions, page 62.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
The question is, to the volume, to those dimensions, does that include, like, if the robot opens up?
Yes.
You define your bumper. Define those two. You mean like an extension, like an arm? So,
in a closed position, it meets all the requirements and everything, but then if the robot then opens up like an arm, it'll get taller, so it would be disqualified, or is that allowed?
That arm can never extend past the height, width, or length. So if you can make something extend outside your robot, you might have to decide to build your chassis smaller, so then it allows you to extend outside of that bumper or outside of your robot's frame, never outside of that volume. Make sure also with your bumpers.
So the two dimensions mentioned in the middle aren't all end and be all of the dimensions?
All and be all.
Okay.
They're the maximum.
Yep. Think of you building a volume of that, like a box, and the robot in your biggest configuration has to fit in the box, including bumpers. So if you extend an arm out over your bumpers, it still has to fit in that box. If you tighten it up, that's but your largest dimension, the size you ever will be on the field has to fit with the box, including your bumpers.
Maximum box, yes. Okay, got it.
The other thing to note about your
Thinking
bumpers is your bumpers.
other dimensions to that volume, so, okay, so it is that dimension, so, okay.
The other bumpers is your bumpers cannot articulate or move, right? Your bumpers need to stay at all times between 0 inches off the ground and 7, and it can't open or move them. They have to be stationary. So that's another thing to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jason, Kyle on the phone. I wanted to call in and say hey and tell you guys you're doing a great job. I also listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Kyle Hughes is among us. We're nice to have you, Kyle.
Thanks. I'm late. I just brought Cody home from shoulder surgery, so I'm a little late getting on the call, but I'm here.
I hear
We're
myself.
glad to have you.
Mr. Ben Carson. So. Carson, and the 6532 rookie team. So.
All right. So where were we? We just talked about the chassis, the volumes that you can be, and about the perimeter. So it goes into the next thing. Read the rules. Most should be rules, and then the question and answers and updates started coming out to the rules.
So a lot of you guys that are asking questions, we are totally glad to answer them all for you. But please also note that we're not going to give you 100% of the answer. You guys need to make sure that you're reading the rules too. Just like when you watch the game video, it doesn't give you 100% of the information for the game. We'll cite the rules in the notes, and then we implore you guys to go back through and read the rules also.
Right, where I had read them, I was just double checking.
Okay.
If I missed something.
Sorry, Ron, just when you started to describe the volume constraints, you said volume A and volume B. Were those the three number dimensions that you gave about volume A and volume B?
Yep. Put in the manual.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And we're talking about chassis and maybe operational driving. Note that if you build the chassis, like if you went to the Flint quick build, see that you built there is a long, wide robot. And when you put bumpers on the side of that robot would not be within the volumes of either A or B. So you do have to make some modification to that chassis and actually cut it.
Do you know the default measurements of that chassis we built?
Sorry, question again?
Do you know the default dimensions of that chassis we built at the quick build? Is it 6x40 or no?
No, it's not. It is not maximum. It is. I put bumpers on. I think is when you extend past the 36. So I want to say it's like 32, 33, or 34. When you bumpers, you add about 7 inches to the total dimension. So 32, you would get to 9, and that's over 36. So therefore, you have to make some modification.
I guess my real question is do I would be required to cut it down both dimensions, or can we get away with cutting down just one?
You could probably get away with cutting down one if you go within volume A, I think it is. Check both. I mean,
yeah,
just take a tape measure.
We had school
Sure.
all week, so I haven't been able to get at my robot.
Sure. If if you go to Andy Mark's website and look up the AM14U3, they have a layout drawing that shows you the overall dimension of the chassis, so you can just look at a PDF of it, so that dimension is, and then add 7 to dimensions, and you should be good. Like AMs for Andy Mark, 1 for you, like 1 for you and 1 for you, but there's 1 for you for 3.
Okay.
The third version. Okay.
And if you guys are on the call and you either haven't started building your chassis or you have no idea what we're talking about when we say chassis, don't be afraid to ask for help. I know that a lot of you guys probably had this job handed to you and that you need some help. So we are willing to help. Team 2337 is in the Flint area. We don't have Flint water, don't worry. If you guys need help, let us know. We'll be glad to help you get up and moving. If you're near-ish to Grand Blanc and you weren't able to attend our workshop, but you want some of the materials from our workshop, we do have a couple of the boards left over that just allows you to strap your stuff down and call it good for your basic moving chassis. As far as electrical goes, wire up the things that you need to get your chassis moving now, and worry about having things for shooter arms and pickups and other things later. For programming, Jason, do you want to go through electrical and programming, like what they need to be doing right now? That's kind of your area of expertise.
Yeah, so electrical-wise, like Brandy was saying, you want to try to get the main components, something moving on a board. So your breaker, your power distribution panel, and be able to get that wired up so you can attach a battery to it. And then probably to attach your motors, speed control, or your speed controllers and your motors. Not sure what exact. I think there was 2 speed controllers including the kit, the Rev speed controllers.
Rookie's got 4 sparks.
Okay.
Veteran 2 rookies team's got 4.
Okay. So so get those wired into your PDP and wired into your RoboRio. Get your RoboRio powered up, and then program-wise, you're going to need to flash your RoboRio to Shear's image, and then you should be able to download base or default code onto it from there. Anything, Clint?
Try some kind of board, even if you use plywood. Drill a couple holes in the plywood, zip tie the electrical components down to the board, and get that default code and get the thing moving. You know, that's going to be a high priority for people this week. Yeah.
Clint, Jason, do you guys just first provide any type of schematic for new teams on just getting it up and running so they can just connect stuff and make it run?
If you go to the first website for the manual where you download the manual and the kit of parts, everything, to that link, at the bottom there's a link to mechanical resources. In the mechanical resource section, the top link is for the robot quick build instructions. It's does say 2016, so it's last year, but there was no difference between last year and this year. And you can talk through that and follow the instructions of kind of how to do that. All about quick build. So if you can do that, they can do that. There are also, I think, a couple, skills showing people how to wire it. Electrical resource page, which can kind of be found in the same area.
The screen step stuff too, that kind of walks people through different, at least the installation stuff. So being your classmate, installing LabVIEW, and it goes through some of the hardware systems. So we can put that link in the notes.
That's awesome, because I was just thinking, it's good that I come on every now and then, because I'm sitting here thinking if I was a new teacher that just dumped on my lap and all the things you guys are saying right now, I'd be totally lost. So,
Flying
I guess exactly. So as long as those who are listening can bunch to these each list these guys are saying and do everything that they're saying. Also make sure that you go to resources that they tell you, because if you've got some smart kids, you can usually hand them the resources, and before you know it, the robot's moving.
I know at the Mez they're going to do this Saturday, the board, I think what it's called, electronic.
Okay.
Is it about that?
I don't think about it, but my guess is it's similar to the robot quick build. They might do it a little bit differently. We'll try to get people to cut their chassis or already have it to size. But like I said, if you want
I'm
ahead of
pretty
time,
sure based on Gail's document, it is not a complete robot quick build. Will not leave with a moving chassis. Just show you how to wire up your electrical board.
Right. I was just wondering, do you know what time? I know they are there every Saturday. I just don't know what the start times are.
Hold on. Let me look at that Gail sent out before. It's in there.
Is there
The link
any see if I find it.
it's in the previous week.
There it is. 5 spot right. That was the chassis. Details on the quick build.
It's the link that says hey, Gail's sending out a bunch of stuff about this workshop. There's like a big list of them. I'm looking for the link right now. There it is.
Oh, they are. See 'em.
It's at workshops in Michigan, and then it should be on that document. That's what it is. And like I said, it's not, you're not going to be leaving with a complete moving robot. They just teach you how to wire up your chassis. Participants work in groups of 4 to 5 to develop a work plan covering all of the key activities of the 6 robot build periods. This is not a quick build workshop. So you may not even be doing anything robot related. I think this is just a time management and resource management workshop.
Okay.
It's not a quick build.
On that email?
Well, this is an email from Gail that I copied the link from, but this is I don't know when the last time this was updated. That was on the 7th. That was on the 7th. That day was. I don't see anything. Oh, this Saturday, all I see is one going on in Boyne City. It's the only one I see on Gail's list.
All right.
So unless he has updated the list since then, or has sent something that she did not update on the list, I don't know anything about anything going on at the Mez.
I was thinking about what they told us last Saturday at the Mez when we picked up our kit. I know Sunday they were doing a quick build for the chassis, and then they mentioned this Saturday for the electronics.
The Mez, the whole purpose of the Mez is they're there to mentor many, many teams, so they always have stuff going on. It's probably not like an official chassis build, but just that's what they're doing this Saturday. If you come today, then this is what we're doing.
All right, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anyone else have any questions just on your chassis? Getting your chassis up and going. Before we do straight and manipulators and talking about gears and fuel and all of this. Are you on?
Yes.
So, do you have your agenda up there?
Any moment. If you have any delay, it's just because I'm trying to mute and unmute. So.
Yeah. All right. So remember, it is always better to do one or two things reliably and consistently than to be the jack of all trades. Because if the jack of all trades, offense is your first year, you are the master of none. There are probably less than 5 teams in all of First Products that successfully do everything well. And those teams build at places like NASA and Milk Proving Ground, and wherever the cheesy proofs built.
In Clarkston, Michigan. I was kidding.
Yeah, Team Rush is awesome. So, but the teams that are very, very, very successful, those few examples that we just gave, teams specialize. Here in Michigan, there are a lot of competitive teams. You've got teams like Team Rush. You've got teams like the Killer Bees. You've got teams like Las Gorillas, 27, 33, and 469. You have those teams that are awesome teams in doing this for a long time, and they understand their resources, and they decide what they're going to do, and they do it very well. So, Clint, Jason, you guys want to chime in here?
Just my favorite part of all conference calls is when Clint goes over strategy. This is when I learn more about the game than anyone could possibly give me. That's why I'm on the line.
You're going to make me, feel nervous about it.
I
can't wait.
Wring her hands with her maniacal laugh just in cue.
Yeah.
But I'm taking notes, that's for sure.
This year's, you really got to, you evaluate the point values of a task, and you want to look at return on investment. So look at tasks that easier to do and get you a good amount of points. So, personal opinion for this year, shoot into that high goal. In order to get 1 point in the tally-out portion, you need to get 3 balls into that top goal. If I'm in a 1-to-1 ratio for when you shoot that ball into that high goal, you have to shoot 3 balls, and you have to make all 3 of those balls in order to get 1 point. So I think for newer teams, that might be a very big task at hand for them to take on. I'm not saying that any rookie teams or new teams can't achieve and can't make an awesome shooter and have an awesome robot to do that, but just take it into consideration. With other things that give you a higher percentage of accuracy, like going in logo, or even doing the gear skills, if you will. So personally, I think this is kind of probably the thing that Kyle's wondering about is I always say that there's kind of a minimum competitive set with just focus on a few little things, could actually be competitive and maybe make it to the eliminations and maybe win an event and be an alliance partner. And those tasks that I think that teams should investigate are dealing with the gears, of being able to just at least hold a gear or get a gear and put on the pad. You don't even need to have an active mechanism to necessarily lift it out of your robot because your pilot can do that. Having kind of intake to ingest balls so that you get off the floor and it says your opponents to not forces, but where your opponents have less sources or less access to balls, almost like a hoarding, kind of situation. And then would be able to dump into low goal. Now, the reason for dumping into the low goal, it'll give you the opportunity that if you get on a team with someone who can shoot high, you might be able to gather a bunch of balls, go behind that individual, dump your balls into them, and then they take their amazing shot and shoot them onto the top goal for you. So you're like a dump
Clint.
truck or what?
You, Clint.
So that's a dump truck, right? You go around gathering a bunch of fuel, and then you let someone else do the heavy lifting of actually putting the balls in the goal because your team might not have the resources or time to spend on designing that portion. you might be an extremely valuable asset to the team. I see a lot of third members doing something with the gear and gathering balls very quickly, able to maybe, increase their throughput. This thing could even be said about your 10 balls in auto. You have 12 balls, you don't have auto, but maybe you drive right behind the guy shooting in the top goal, and you dump your 10 balls into them so that they can use your ammunition in auto to shoot high. And the last thing is the climber. I really do think people should look at climbers, because I think at first when you look at it and you hear the task, everyone thinks, oh my gosh, this is really difficult to do. We'll investigate and start doing some prototyping. It's one of the easier tasks that first is given to us for climbing. Like I said, the Rome 3-Day guys, they have a perfect example of a tube with Velcro on it. They just drive into the rope and it pulls them up in the air. It's a simple calculations on the hammer of your pulley, size motor you're using, and how much the robot weighs, and you can figure out the calculation of year reduction to lift your robot. So I don't see if you, I'm at a higher level, but I see if you go to an event and you're a climber and you get on an alliance that, wants you have a good intake or something, they might do what's in the community called cheesecaking, meaning they'll get some cheesecake and give you a design or something that can strap to your robot to give you a climber if you don't have one. So don't be surprised if teams at events say, would you be willing to put this on your robot? We think you could put this on there and give us another 50 points for our alliance. So,
Clint, as a person listening to what you just said, I go to my first competition and someone cheesecakes us, and when they say, hey, we want you to put this lift on, and you do put the lift on, can you then manufacture that object to put on for the next tournament? ?
I would say the answer is yes, you can, because of withholding allowance. You can still make things up to 30 pounds after the event. Most times when someone cheesecakes you, once it's on your robot, it's technically yours. I really haven't ever heard of a situation too much where someone takes their cheesecaking back, unless it's extremely complicated. So, if you were with us and we cheesecaked you, that's yours. You get to keep it. Hopefully at your next event you can use it during the qualifications, not just during the eliminations. You can work and build your bring something that's under 30 pounds. We'll get into them more as the season goes on, using your withholding allowance.
So to tell a rookie what their simplest thing to do is, what would you suggest that they do?
I'll probably focus on gears and intaking balls. That's the starting points, I would say. Gears come first, because even if you're in a match by yourself, if you put one gears onto that platform, it has potential to get 80 points in a match. If you put 2 gears on, that's 80 points. Start with one in your robot already, so you're happy there at the beginning of the match.
And what about for gears? Are you suggesting the ability to load them from the loader station or pick them up from the floor?
I personally would not try to go after the floor pickup for gears, because it's a time and resources. And if you do the calculations of the number of gears you have access to, you have the chance of making 9 mistakes. You can drop 9 of them before you all your gears that you can't use it anymore. For teams, 9 gear ground pickup, yes. Do I think the team needs to worry with that? I would say no.
What would you suggest to a rookie team for Auton, and do they understand how important Auton is?
For driving that 5 speed, I think 6.5 feet maybe. Just call that brake on, hey, that's 5 points every time. You need to run it at 100% speed. You just go, maybe at a 10 or 20% speed for 3 seconds or something like that. Just that line in auto, that's amazing. And try to push it as you go further to do more.
Right. By starting with a gear, if you line up kind of in that center area, if you line up just right and drive straight, right, there's potential you could onto the peg in Auton, So that'd be the next step that I would probably look at would be swing your gear in Auton just by driving forward. You're in the right location.
And also for Auton, if you can, you want to try to have a way, even if it's a sync switch on your robot or at your driver station, have a select maybe, I would say 3 Autons. Maybe one be do nothing. The second one just head straight for that braking line. And then the third one, I would make it where you could do the gear, because I can almost guarantee you're going to go to an event and match number the event, everyone says, hey, what are you doing Auton? And all 3 people are going to say, I put on the low, I drive straight and put the gear on that first peg. And people want to do the same thing, and guess what? Not all 3 people can do it.
Hey, repeat those again, the priorities for Auton. Start by just driving across the baseline.
Well, have a switch to select your Auton thing, drive across the brake line. I think that's
Slow
what the
down just a little
baseline.
bit. I can't type that fast. Hold on.
Sure. Okay, baseline. And then the
All right.
third
Be
Auton.
able to select Auton mode. One is do nothing. Yeah.
And the reason to do nothing is because someone's Auton might be better than yours, and it might mess things up or cause, disrupt for the alliance. And once again, do what's in the best interest of the alliance, not in the best interest of just your team alone.
We've been on alliances before that, as they coming up on 9 or 10 years, have done nothing in Auton. It's not just for rookie teams. This is one of those, what is best for your alliance, your teams on the alliance's robot abilities.
And that's a really good point that they're making right now. Don't ever be offended. There's 2 things I want to say, and then I'm going to try to shut up for you guys. But number 1 is don't ever be offended if someone says, hey, we need to do nothing, because that's what's best at this point in time. As Brandy is saying, it happens. We also have done nothing in the past. But the other thing is as you're moving forward, you use rookie status to your very best capability. When you go to a tournament, you tell people we're rookies, we need help. Everyone in the world will help you this first year. Your second year, forget it, you're your own. But your first year, they will help you in more ways than you could possibly imagine. So take that and keep that little tip in your pocket, because you can use it at every tournament.
What is the withholding allowance?
The withholding allowance is in the rules. Again, I don't know it all word for word for this season. Past, it's been a 30 pounds you are allowed to withhold flagging that you can continue to work on. So 30 pounds might be, let's say, your rope climber. If it weighs 10 pounds, you can withhold that, keep it, you keep working on it, keep testing it until your event, even after the stop build date, up until you can keep working on it. Now you decided, hey, that's 10 pounds, and later on we come up with a new design to interact with the gear or maybe interact with the fuel. You can then use the remaining of the 20 pounds to build something else. And when you go to your event, you can bring that 10 pounds of climbing the rope mechanism and 20 pounds of something else to add onto your robot that you built after the stop build date. So you read it very closely, because,
Yeah, R21 on page 71.
Autonomous start.
In the field will signal to your robot saying basically 2 signals. You have the disable and then you have Auton and teleop signal. So the field will send a signal to your robot to say, hey, we're in autonomous, and then the enable for that 15 seconds to do what your pre-programmed definition in your autonomous version of your robot is. It will do, and then at the end of that autonomous, it will disable your robot, switch up, and then re-enable your robot again automatically. So the management system is what enables and disables your autism teleop and your enable or disable. And the text for the text for the software should have sections for teleop, a section for all autonomy, so that when those tasks get called, it performs everything within that window, if you will, or that section of code.
Okay. Carry more than one battery?
The battery question, sorry?
Are you allowed to use more than one at a time?
Use one battery on your robot to power robot. You have to use multiple batteries at the event to change between matches. Allowed to play match 1, and then match 9, you swap out for a different battery. So you not have 2 batteries on your robot.
Okay.
What software do you guys program in?
Java.
Okay. Transferred over. We're no more LabVIEW.
To be LabVIEW, that thing to say about LabVIEW and the reason we don't use it anymore is the deployment time. It can be fairly lengthy. You're going to try to get support at events. A lot of times the CSAs and the field people are probably more knowledgeable about LabVIEW. However, that does not mean other teams can't help you out with Java or C++.
All right. We are kind of running out of time this week. What's going on here? All right. We're going to talk really quickly about the process of prototyping or manipulators of the game pieces. So this is meant to tell you guys what you should be prototyping, but to give you some ideas of what you can use to prototype, okay? Our biggest piece of advice, you guys, is to prototype as much as you can out of things like wood, PVC, scrap stuff that you have laying around before you start moving to expensive materials. Like, go out and buy yourself a huge sheet of, what's that called? Like craft aluminum. Like, build your first version of your prototype. Like, go to Depot, get yourself some plywood and PVC and 2x4s and a drill and some wood screws, and test out with that before you start using expensive stuff, okay?
Are we required to use the expensive stuff, or can we use wood for our final product?
You can, as long as you do not exceed the weight restrictions, you can use wood. So, Wayne, is that you?
Yeah.
So for the video that Clint showed at his workshop of the robot that grabbed a hold of 3 goals and like won the world championship, that robot was like 90% PVC. Even the best robots and out of PVC. Team 416 Alaska Gorillas. So their robot is like bubblegum and duct tape, and they have won championships and are one of the most amazing robots in first. Now, you will see both ends of the spectrum. Teams like 118 and 250, they have amazing robots, but they also have extensive resources. So use within your team's budget and resources for fabrication to build out of the things that you guys can afford and effectively build things out of. But the there is effectively, right? You can use things like wood and PVC. Just make sure that it gets the job done and doesn't fall off when you're on the field. When you're on the field, if you do not build the robot robustly and things fall off, you get penalties and you get disabled. And you're to yourself or your alliance if your robot is disabled while it's on the field. So, do you want to talk about, or Jason, do you want to talk about using a drill motor to simulate for PVC or prototypes?
Sure. I mean, you can do what Brandy just said there, is a drill motor and hook it to some kind of shaft, a hex shaft or something like that, and try to see what the pieces and stuff do. instead of worrying about hooking up a sim or a mini sim or one of the motors available in the kit to prove your concept works. Then figure out how you're going to attach a kit of parts motor to that piece. We use drills all the time just to prototype and test and see what it does. You know, just it's dirty. The purpose of prototyping is to learn something and then get the next prototype better from what you learned previously. To have a fine line of, you know, hey, look, the first time we built this prototype, and that's what we're putting on the robot. It's to keep moving on it each time and continuously improve the design.
And the thing that we talked about last year that I thought was very helpful and seemed sound very helpful, Clint, is your intake running 1.5 times the speed of your chassis. Can you read on that?
Nope, was asking a question. Repeat the question, please.
That you have an active intake on your robot, have it run about 1.5 times the speed of your chassis. What's important and why it's advantageous?
Yeah, you want to do a calculation of your ground speed of your robot. You know, if you travel 10 feet per second, your intake to be traveling at 5 feet per second. Because what it means is that you're going to drive over those game pieces rather than take them into your robot. Having an active mechanism is better than trying to have a non-active where you got to use pinchers or something. You want like a spinning roller or something to pick up these game pieces. And the speed of it, we typically say you want to go at least 1.5 times the speed of the robot, so you're always picking the things up that you want that you run into.
How do you calculate the speed of your intake?
The JVN design calculator. So if you go to Google, George, one of our mentors is holding up like 2 times the speed of your 2 times the speed of your robot. You go to JVN's if you go to Google, search for JVN calculator 20. This is an Excel document that will help you calculate transmissions, rolling intakes, linear motion. So for climbing, you can say the diameter of your wheels, speed of your robot, all that kind of stuff, what motor you're using, what transmission, what ratio, and it'll calculate and tell you all the information you need. So amazing resource for designing and building robots.
Any updates that we particularly need to focus on?
I guess a couple of the, in the first update, you're going to want to make sure you read the whole thing. But one of the things that they talked about was the depopulated gears. They cannot move. They have to stay in those positions. I think this was talked about at our workshop. So I brought up the question saying that if you have moving an Auton, you get 60 points. Because E equals 0, you get 60 points for that. And then Heliop, if it's still rotating, you would get another 40 points. It's not true. You only get one or the other. So you only get 60 points for auto. You will get 40 points in Heliop. Our team usually tries to say, if you turn a rotor on in auto, you get a bonus of 20 points. And no matter what, in Heliop, you get 40 points. If it is an autonomous. So I think those are the 2 big things. They do a couple other, clarifications, that kind of stuff. I think that was the 2 big things that stuck out to me, at least.
The question and answer, they really forbid anything about picking up the gear with pilot. You had like a passive mechanism. You drove your robot with the gear onto the peg, and then the pilot could start pulling the gear out of your robot. They didn't say that you could not do that. So
I think they've actually, I remember one rule, Q&A, where they actually basically said that is allowed. You are allowed to do that. So you don't even need a mechanism to drop the gear off. As long as you have a way for a little spring to pierce the gear into your robot, and the pilot can lift it up out of your robot by pulling the ripcord, you can throw a gear on to the or onto the chip or whatever it's called.
All right. That's what we have for robot side of things. Does anyone have any robot questions before we get into a couple quick team management tasks? Anybody? Oh, well, if you just feel free to chime in. I know we are probably giving you guys a ton of information, and you're probably completely overwhelmed right now. But have faith in notes is everything that we talked about. So you'll be able to go back through and read it, and feel free to give us any questions that you guys have via email. That's really the best way to get a hold of Clint and I. Jason, is email the best method for you?
Yep.
Okay. All right. A couple of team management tasks. Right now, one thing that you guys, since you guys are probably starting to maybe make subsystems, like you've got your chassis, you got your electrical, you got your programming, you got your wiring that goes with electrical. Might be working on gears or balls, whatever it is. Assigning mentors to tasks. If you are fortunate enough to have more than one mentor on your team, we discovered on our team with most mentors, granted not all of them, but most mentors, assigned to a task and assigning students to a task, even if they volunteer to be assigned to that task, that is the best way to ensure that things get done. Okay? So understand that a mentor can help with more than one task, and a task can be helped by more than one mentor. So a lot of mechanical people, and you want to put two mentors on your ball paper or your gear score, do that. Remember, these are just high school students, and while some of them may have a lot of really great ideas, they don't have the experience and knowledge that adults have that have either gone to engineering school or have been in industry or journeymen and have gone through all of these things in life. So having those mentors working alongside your students is going to be completely valuable for your students because they're great. Clint, Jason?
Good.
And even have mentors, you can always try to ask your students, what do your parents do, for a living, maybe you have someone that's a repair person and they're just good with mechanical tools and they could help you, build something. So don't be able to ask, that's usually where a lot of mentors come from. A lot of mentors come from parents. I'm looking at a room right now with 4 parents, all mentors on our team right now. So.
All right. Breaking your team down into subsections. You guys will hear a lot about veteran teams who have their teams broken down into multiple sections that meet on multiple days, that have student section leaders, that have mentors assigned to them, that have all these different things. But for this year, I'm really going to recommend that you guys keep it pretty generic. Have your mechanical people, your electrical people, your program people, and your PR people. And it's up to you whether you guys want to have mandatory meetings, free choice meetings, if certain groups on certain days. If you have a really small build space and, Monday, Friday, your mechanical team meets, and Tuesday, Thursday, your electrical and programming meets, because that's what suits your resources, do it. Notice that we, on this call, say a lot with your resources, because each have a different skill set. Like T-Rush, they're lucky. They meet right after school, and they have homework time. They meals with their facility. Like, they have this beautiful facility. Kyle Hughes is a teacher there. And then, Jason, I'm assuming you come after work, right? Each team is different. Team 2337, we don't start meeting until 6:30 at night because then the mentors are available. So you break down your team, how you structure your meetings, how you assign mentors and students to tasks is going to be completely different based on each team. but what we've added in the call notes for you guys is how we, Team 2337, and how Kyle and Jason from Team 27 break down their teams and have their meeting schedules. So that's something for you guys to go off of, but just for you, this is probably the most frequent questions I get at my team organization workshop is how do you break down your team and how do you decide who's going to meet when? Unfortunately, there's no solid answer to any of that except for how's your place, how many kids do you have, how many adults do you have, and how many tasks are you trying to get done? So, I guess we can save uniforms for next week. You guys just start thinking about your team, your team logo, those kind of things. Not to make too many details in your team logo, because remember, this has to be screen printed or embroidered. And if you send something in with 1 million lines and 1 million colors, it's going to look muddy and it's going to be expensive. Team 2337, our logo can be condensed down to one color. It's generally speaking 2 colors. But for the most part, we have one big logo, and that's it. And Jason, I don't know if you want to talk about Russia. Go ahead, please.
Is there a team name link that we can check to make sure we're not duplicating another team's name?
If you get to,
there will be lots of duplicates. First of all, there are umpteen dragons and RoboCats and
you go to
such as that.
TheBlueAlliance.com, TheBlueAlliance.com. It's a website that's made by the community. You can search for team number or even team name. So it's kind of a way that you could start searching to see if that team name exists. You think you come up with an original idea, or who a couple of years after you create the name, someone else will take that same name and try to use it themselves. So,
Jump to the team name list from the in the notes.
Thanks. I down too, so.
That's pretty much.
Say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Kyle again. I just want to mention one more thing, and it is I'm a school teacher, and I've been doing this. This is my 21st year doing this. And I just want to say to all the people that are new out there, the rookies, I salute you. I think you're doing a tremendous thing. They already talked about it, but you're changing the face of the planet because you're giving these kids an incredible opportunity. And as you get frustrated, make sure that you check in with Clint, Brandy, Jason. You can even contact me if you need to. They're here all the time to help you guys out. And what we want to do is we want to make and continue to make Michigan successful in robotics. So don't hesitate to ask questions, and just keep remembering that if a math teacher with no engineering degree can do this for 21 years and have 3 children through the process and continue to have her job, so can you. So I just want to keep you fired up. There's 1,010,000 questions. There are many questions you don't even know what to ask at this point. But as you ask them, send those guys emails and just continue to do what you're doing, and know that when it's all done, you've truly made a difference for some kids that will impact them for the rest of their lives, and impact you. You might light the spark that want to go into medicine or engineering or something that maybe someday that will impact your life. So just please don't give up. Ask questions. Continue to be on the calls. I will tell you that the Michigan Rookie All-Star team is usually the one that comes from the phone calls, because they get it. They're learning, they're finding resources, and they're making a difference. So that's all I just wanted to say. Clint, Randy, Jay, continue what you're doing. You guys are awesome. And for those who are on the line, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up.
Thank you, encouragement.
Does anyone else have any other questions? Kyle, you're phenomenal, by the way. Anyone else have any other questions about anything?
How many years are you able to
one. But fuel, you have unlimited.
Question about the cost averaging. If, is it possible to utilize printed parts, 3D printed parts? And if so, how do we average the costs on that?
Yes, because the plastic 3D parts are printed and it's done by probably you, your students, or one of your sponsors, it falls under the criteria of being, and allowed. So the value of that, you more or less need to just look at the cost of the ABS or PLA or whatever you use in your 3D printer of what it costs per ounce and do that as a fair judgment of the cost of it. So the other one is if you have a piece of billeted aluminum and you machine something out of that, you just have to mark the cost of what that billeted aluminum piece costs out the machining time cost put into it, because assume your team, mentors, or sponsors did the machining for you, right? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. That was a concern. That use the print service cost.
So if you get someone else to make the thing for you, basically first is trying to incentivize people to get sponsors and partners. That's why it costs against you. But if you were to use another service and pay someone to do it, you would then have to put whatever you paid them to do that. Does that make sense to you?
Okay.
There's a whole commercially off-the-shelf section in the rules of what's allowable and not allowable and how to market the cost.
Right.
The question I do have is 6493 on? Team 63? We'll try to get a hold of them later. Anyone have other questions?
That's 493 is up by me, right? I mean, it's at Delta College or something.
Like I said, I just don't have their contact information in front of me.
Yeah. I tried to look them up on that that thing you just gave me, that Blue Alliance, and it showed me.
Oh, so they are by you.
Yeah, right up by Bay
Okay.
City, which isn't very far from me at all. So, I mean, if they had the batteries, I could just run over and grab them if I knew that.
Like I said, we're still trying to get a hold of them. So maybe they're just got their head stuck inside of a robot or something, right?
I don't know. Could be. All right.
Okay.
Well, if no one else has any other questions, thank you for coming tonight, and we'll send out the information and notes from this week's call and the information for next week's call.
And also,
Have a good night.
at the bottom of the notes will be links to the previous week's calls. So if you're asking for calls from previous weeks, just go all the way to the bottom.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much.